Vandeham Sri Guru.
The following is a class on the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, third chapter, text number 20 through 21, given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, recorded on the 17th of June, 1972, in Los Angeles, California.
Sri Rupam Sakrajatan Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sadivam Sadvaitam
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Just do over on page 155, text 20. Read over the verse and then read the purport.
So one more. Chant the verse.
Bile Batorukrama Vikramanye. Bile Batorukrama Vikramanye. Nashinvatah Karnapute Narasya. Nashinvatah Karnapute Narasya. Jivasati Dadurike Vasuta. Jivasati Dadurike Vasuta. Nachopagayat Yuragaya Gata. Nachopagayat Yuragaya Gata.
So, Bile Batoru Krama Vikramandi. Urukram. Urukram means Krishna. Kram means activity. Uru means great. So, Urukrama Vikrama. Vikraman means chivalrous activities, very brave activities. So, one who does not hear about the brave activities of Krishna, they are satisfied with teeny activities of this material world. We give credit to an ordinary man to become a god. How? The meditation. Now what are his wonderful activities? Simply by meditation he becomes God. This is the foolishness. God must be acting very wonderfully. Otherwise how is God? If he is just like ordinary man and because he has got a big beard, he becomes God. How foolish it is. They do not know what is God because they have not heard about God, how powerful He is, how brave activities He does. Just like Krishna. Krishna, when he was 7 years old, he lifted Govardhan hill, Giridhari, and he kept it on his finger for 7 days. That is God. Krishna, when he was householder, he married 16,000 wives. And who can maintain 16,000 wives? One cannot maintain even one wife. This is called Urukra, great activities. Not that Krishna remained one and he had 16,000 wives. No. He also expanded himself into 16,000 forms so that no wife may be displeased. If I am one and if I have got many wives, so everyone will be displeased. He provided 16,000 palaces, and in each palace there are many thousands of servants and maidservants, and each wife was blessed with 10 sons. This is called Urukram, great activities. Lord Ramchandra, he killed Ravan. Ravan was so powerful that all the demigods in higher planetary system, they are all afraid of. He became so powerful. And Ravan's brother, he reigned in Brazil, and there was subway from Ceylon to Brazil. We get information from Ramayana. Such powerful demons who can make now subway from one continent to another continent. They can make subway from one city to another at most. But at that time, Ravan was able to make a subway from one continent to another, from Asia to Africa. And Brazil, they say still there are big stock of gold. So Ravan utilized this gold mine for constructing his city, Sarnalanka, golden Ceylon, it was known at that time. He was so advanced even in material science, and he was also a good scholar in Vedic literature. He was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, and by the blessings of Lord Shiva, he got so much opulences. And he became so powerful that he dared to kidnap the wife of Ramchandra. So, such a powerful demon was killed by Ramchandra. And he approached his kingdom on a stone bridge, and the stones were floating on the water. Where is the law of gravitation? The law of gravitation, the so-called scientist imagination, does not act when Urukram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, acts. He wanted there should be no law of gravitation. Let the stones float on the water. This is called Urukram. So we accept Lord Ramchandra as God, Lord Krishna as God, not these petty dogs and cats. We have no business with these petty dogs and cats. All rascals, they are declaring, I am God. No. Therefore, these rascals who do not know what is God, you have to inject within their ear holes the message of God. That is your business. Krishna consciousness movement means these rascals, dogs, hogs, camels and asses, who have no information of God, therefore their ear holes are compared like the snake holes, really. So you have got very responsible task to inject within their ear the chivalrous activities of God. Otherwise, their ear holes remain as snake holes. As I explained yesterday, in the snake holes, nobody goes there, nobody puts their hands or legs. Similarly, if these ear holes remains empty without oral reception of the great activities of the Lord, it is as good as the snake holes. Bile baturu urukramana vikramanaji nasinnata. They have decided there is no God, God is dead, God has no personality, He is zero. Therefore they have no opportunity to hear about God. Nasinnata karna puti narasya. This human form of body, these ear holes are meant for giving oral reception to the message of God. But they will not do that. Therefore, your mission is to go home to home, village to village, town to town, and give them injection. Here, make such arrangement, nice dancing, nice chanting, prasad distribution. Why? Just to inject in their snake holes the words of Krishna. This is your mission. Those who are taken sannyas, especially, it is their duty, satnyas, to sacrifice everything. Sacrifice means nothing to be sacrificed, but sacrifice the sense of I am the Lord. What you have got, you can sacrifice. This is simply a bluff sacrifice. We cannot sacrifice. What we have got, we can sacrifice. There is no question of sacrifice. But sacrifice means this doggish mentality that I am Lord, I am God, I am enjoyer. This doggish mentality has to be sacrificed. Otherwise, what you can sacrifice? What you have got? Renouncement. There is no question of renouncement. You haven't got anything what to renounce. When you come naked and you go naked, simply by false, illusory concepts, and you think this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. Actually, when you take your bath, you do not bring anything with you. And when you go away, you do not take away anything. The things were there and things will be there. You come and go. But then where is the question of sacrifice? Where is the question of renouncement? This is illusion. Ishavasmidam sarvam. Everything belongs to God. Nothing belongs to you. So what is the meaning of renouncement? And what is the meaning of enjoyment? You cannot enjoy others' property, neither it is very nice thing if you say, I renounce it. Suppose you are passing through Bank of America. If you say, I renounce this. What is the renounce this one? Bank of America belongs to you. This is craziness. You cannot enjoy the Bank of America. If you go and try to enjoy, then you will be criminal. And if you say, I renounce it, then you are a madman. This is your position. But people are going on under two impressions. Somebody, the Kurmis, they are thinking, I am enjoyer. I am the Lord of all its way. Here is America, is mine. You cannot enter. So, this is the Kurmis position. Falsely, they are claiming proprietors, which does not belong to them. Thieves, rather they are thieves, rogues. There is a story that a group of thieves, they plundered some booty, some property somewhere, and then out of the town they were dividing. So one of the thieves was speaking, please divide the property morally. Now the property is stolen property, and they are speaking of morally. Devil cites scripture. Similarly, you Americans, you have come from Europe, you have stolen this property. Now you are speaking of morality. So not you, everyone. Nothing belongs to us. There is no question of morality unless one surrenders to Krishna. Everything immoral for a person who is not Krishna conscious. Everything immoral. Therefore Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Daite bhadra bhadra sakali saman. Ei bhalo, ei mondo, sab monodharma. In this material world, which is called duality, these our listing, these things are good, these things are bad. Bhadra, abhadra. Bhadra means good, abhadra means bad. These are all the same. It is simply mental concoction. Here the so-called morality, ethics, all nonsense. Because you are trying to lord it over on the property of somebody else. So where is your morality? So these sentiments, morality, immorality, good, bad, they are simply manufactured. Actually, unless one surrenders to Krishna, there is no question of this ethics and morality. We are now discussing in our philosophical class Huxley's morality. These are all crazy man's proposals. Actually, there is no morality. So that we can understand things as they are if we receive the message of Urukrama, Krishna. If you give oral reception to the activities of Krishna. Therefore, you should not waste a moment with nonsense talkings. You have got so many books. Either chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Or read books. Discuss amongst yourself. Don't waste your time by so-called drama and play. It is simply waste of time. Don't waste your time in that way. If you have got inclination to enjoy some drama, then you should take hint how that drama should be written or played. Don't manufacture. You are not so expert that you can manufacture things. That is illegal. It's like we do not read any rascal's book. They are manufacturing so many ideas. We read Bhagavatam, authorized. We read Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We read Brahma Samhita. Not rascal's book. What these rascals can write? They're imperfect. So don't waste your time. Simply, always pour in, give oral reception to the message of Urukrama. Don't waste a single moment. This should be your life's policy. Abhartha kalatyam, Rupa Goswami advises, an advanced devotee should always look whether my time is wasted. Abhartha kalatyam, Bhartha means useless. So that should be one of the target of devotees. That whether I am wasting my time, don't waste your time. Always pour in the activities of the Lord Krishna. Always. 24 hours. Kirtaniya sada hari. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. Sada. Sada means always. 24 hours. Otherwise, it is the snake hole. And similarly, jivhasati dadurikeva suta. Dadurikeva. A frog's tongue. Kakarkong, kakarkong. No? Dadurikeva suta. Nachopagayati urugaya gatha. Urugaya. And glorious activities. This should be our motto of life. Now read the purport.
Purport. Devotional service of the Lord is rendered by all limbs or parts of the body. It is the transcendental dynamic force of the spirit soul. Therefore a devotee is engaged 100% in the service of the Lord. One can engage in devotional service when the senses of the body are purified in relation with the Lord, and one can render service to the Lord with the help of all senses. As such, the senses and the action of the senses are to be considered as impure or materialistic as long as they are employed in sense gratification only. The purified senses are engaged not in sense gratification, but in the service of the Lord in toto. The Lord is the supreme with all senses, and the servitor, who is part and parcel of the Lord, also has the same senses. Service of the Lord is the completely purified use of the senses, as it is described in the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord imparted instructions with full senses, and Arjuna received them with full senses, and thus there was a perfect exchange of sensible and logical understanding between the master and the disciple. Spiritual understanding is nothing like an electrical charge from the master to the disciple, as it is foolishly claimed by some propaganda mongers. Everything is full of sense and logic, and the exchange of views between the master and the disciple is possible when the reception is submissive and real only. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that one should receive the teaching of Lord Chaitanya with intellect and full senses, so that one can logically understand the great mission.
Chaitanya dayar katha karaho vichar. The exact language is there. That Chaitanya Charitamrita writer, Kaviraj Goswami said that you put your logic about the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. I request you, you consider, don't accept it blindly. Chaitanya dayar katha karo vichar. But if you intelligently deliberate on the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya dayar katha karo vichar, vichar karile chitte pabe chamatka, you will feel wonderful. If you accept it by systematic deliberation about the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, then you will feel that it is wonderful. So, our Krishna consciousness movement is not a force that we are pushing something forcibly to anyone. There is complete judgment. But unfortunately, if one cannot understand, that is not our fault. One must have the intelligence to understand. Otherwise, logically, philosophically, it is perfect.
In the impure state of a living being, the respective senses are fully engaged in mundane affairs. If the ear is not engaged in the service of the Lord, by hearing about him in the Bhagavad Gita or in the Srimad Bhagavatam, certainly the holes of the ear will be filled up with some rubbish.
Yeah. This is the secret. We have got the ears and we have got the sound also, just like we are reading this book. So if we don't fill up our ears with this transcendental sound, then it will be filled up with some rubbish things. It cannot remain empty. Either you fill up with transcendental message or you fill up with rubbish nonsense. Two words. So if you take care that your ear holes are always filled up with the transcendental message of Krishna, so there is no scope for rubbish things to enter into it. So therefore, our attempt should be 24 hours hearing, Kirtaniya Sada, 24 hours. As soon as you get time, read books, discuss among yourself, prasam consciousness. Don't fill up the ears with rubbish things. Then advance will be choked up. Wow.
Therefore, the messages of the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam should be preached all over the world very loudly. That is the duty of a pure devotee who has actually heard about them from the perfect sources. Many want to speak something to others, but because they are not trained up to speak on the subject matter of Vedic wisdom, they are all speaking nonsense, and the people are receiving them with no sense. There are hundreds and thousands of sources for distributing mundane news of the world, and people of the world are also receiving them. Similarly, the people of the world should be taught to hear the transcendental topics of the Lord, and the devotee of the Lord must speak loudly so that they can hear. The frogs loudly croak, with the result that they invite the snakes to eat them. The human tongue is especially meant for chanting the Vedic hymns, and not for croaking like the frogs. The word asati, used in this verse, is also significant. Asati means a woman who has become a prostitute. A prostitute has no reputation for good womanly qualities. Similarly, the tongue, which is given to the human being for chanting the Vedic hymns, will be considered a prostitute when it is engaged in the matter of chanting some mundane nonsense.
Yeah. Just like a chaste woman has got good reputation. Similarly, chaste tongue means chaste tongue and ear. Jivhadu, our spiritual life begins from tongue. Jivhadu, sevan mukhehi jivhadu, sayameva spuratada, atasya Krishna namadi, na bhavid graham indriyai. These mundane blunt senses, they cannot receive or understand what is Krishna, what is Krishna's name, what is Krishna's form, what is Krishna's pastimes, what is Krishna's paraphernalia, so many things, Krishna's. What is Krishna's word? Na bhavet grahyam indriyai. These senses cannot do. But when the one sense, the tongue, is engaged in devotional service, the tongue is engaged in devotional service means chant Hare Krishna. This tongue is specially given to you. The dog, the cat cannot chant Hare Krishna, but you can, because God has given you the opportunity. So, just like chaste woman means he is meant for her husband. Similarly, chaste tongue means which is meant for chanting Hare Krishna. That is chaste tongue. And tasting Krishna prasadam. So if you can simply engage your tongue, chanting Hare Krishna and tasting Krishna prasadam, you become perfect. Simple thing. There is no difficulty. Whenever there is time, chant Hare Krishna, and when you feel hungry, take Krishna prasadam and live here peacefully. Don't talk rubbish, then life is successful. Is there any difficulty? We are trying to give you Krishna prasadam. We are giving you chance to chant Hare Krishna. That is our duty. So you take advantage of it and make your life successful. Otherwise, it is Jivha Dardurike Va Suta Dardurikam. The frog's tongue, very busy in croaking. But this means inviting death. Please come here, I am sitting here. So similarly, talking nonsense, we allow our span of life being diminished by the sunrise and sunset. But if we talk about the Urugaya Gatha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then our life, it will be eternal. Simply by doing these two things, Sevanmukhi hi jivhado. If we simply engage the jivha, the tongue, in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, then we can see God eye to eye. Then, is it one verse more?
Barak parang pattakarita jushtam, Barak parang pattakarita jushtam, Barak param pattakarita jushtam, Barak parang pattakarita jushtam, Apyuttamangam nanamen mukundam, Apyuttamangam nanamen mukundam, Shavo karo no kurute saparyam, Shavo karo no kurute saparyam, Hare lasat kanchana kankanova, Hare lasat kanchana kankanova.
Bhara. It is bhara. Bhara parang patta kirita justya maputtamangam na namen mukundam. Savo karo no kurute sapajyam hare lasat kanchana kankanova. So you can read the word meaning.
Bhara, Bhara, a great burden, Parang, Parang, heavy, Patta, Patta, silk, Kirita, Kirita, turban, Jushtam, Jushtam, dressed with, Api, Api, even, Uttama, Uttama, upper, Angam, Angam, parts of the body, Na, Na, never, Namet, bow down, Mukundam, Lord Krishna, the deliverer. Shavo, dead bodies, Karo, hands, No, do not, Kurute, do, Saparjam, worshipping, Hare, of the personality of Godhead, Lasat, glittering, Kanchana, made of gold, Kankano, bangles, Va, even though. Translation: the upper portion of the body, though crowned with a silk turban, if not bowed down before the personality of Godhead, who can award mukti, freedom, is a heavy burden only. And the hands, though decorated with glittering bangles, if not engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead Hari, are like those of a dead man.
You have seen Indian turban, very, very big, made of silk and jewels. Perhaps you have seen the typical turban by the Indian Airways, big turban. So, what is the use of the turban? It is a great burden. If you do not bow down before the Lord. Similarly, if you don't engage your hand in the service of the Lord, it is exactly like the dead man's hand. If the dead man's hand, if it is decorated with nice, glittering golden bangles, then what is the beauty? There is no beauty. So I will discuss tomorrow again. Thank you.